Baking and cooking with zucchini can be one of the absolute pleasures of summer, but you have to know how to do it right. It's Nicole Hunn from Gluten-Free on a Shoestring. Today we're going to take what I like to call summer's pushiest vegetable, and we're going to make a really sweet, moist, tender zucchini bread. We're going to talk about some of the techniques that you need to be able to work with zucchini in baking. If you have too much moisture in your baked goods, they're not going to rise or they're never going to set in the center. I'm going to show you exactly how to make sure that that never happens to you. We'll start with a couple of fresh zucchini, and we're just going to grate them on a standard box grater. We're going to take all of this grated zucchini and put it into a fine mesh bag that's just a nut milk bag. It's used for making almond milk, and it's also perfect for getting as much moisture as possible out of zucchini. We're going to squeeze out a ton of moisture. You're going to be amazed at how much moisture there is in here. So after I've finished wringing as much moisture as I possibly can out of the grated zucchini, I'm just going to transfer it to a paper towel lined bowl and let it dry out a little bit more. I've gone ahead and divided the grated and dried zucchini about in half. This is about a cup, just under a cup. We're going to put that along with a quarter cup of a neutral oil. I used sunflower oil, but you could use grapeseed or canola or vegetable oil, and 2 large eggs, and we're going to place those all into a blender. We're going to puree them until they're nice and creamy and smooth, and the oil is going to emulsify a bit. So we finished blending up our wet ingredients, and now we're going to add the dry ingredients to a bowl. Just some flour, baking powder, baking soda, things like that, your usual dry ingredients, and we're going to keep on going through the granulated sugar. And once we've added the granulated sugar, we're going to whisk it together to make sure everything is well combined. So now we're just going to mix the brown sugar into the other dry ingredients and use the back of a spoon to break up any lumps. No matter how fresh brown sugar is, it always ends up with lumps. And if we don't break them up with the back of the spoon, they end up in these caramelized chunks, which sounds delicious, but actually doesn't taste very good in the zucchini bread. So after I've gotten rid of the lumps in the brown sugar, I'm going to add the remaining shredded zucchini and most of the chocolate chips and just mix them until they're evenly distributed throughout. Now I'm just going to use the back of the spoon and create a well in the center of the dry ingredients for the wet ingredients so that when I pour them in, it goes all the way to the bottom. Just pour it right in. And then we're just going to make sure that we get every last bit out. As we're transferring the wet ingredients from the food processor into the dry ingredients in the bowl, we want to make sure that we scrape all of the ingredients out of the food processor. If we leave ingredients in the food processor, the recipe is all of a sudden out of balance. We don't want to upset that balance by leaving some of the ingredients behind. Now we're going to add the vanilla and mix everything until it's just combined. So now we have our batter finished. We're going to transfer it to a greased and lined standard size loaf pan. Sprinkle a few more chocolate chips on top, press them in a little bit so they adhere, and then into the oven it goes. This recipe is such a winner because it's not fussy, and this recipe always works. Even if you're a little bit off a few grams here or there with any particular ingredient, it always works.